Robert Whittaker believes there's no better time than now for a showdown with Sean Strickland, and he wants it to happen on one of the most unique stages in combat sports history, the upcoming UFC card in front of the White House. For Whittaker, a fight with Strickland isn't just about rankings or title implications, it's about legacy, timing, and the thrill of finally facing a man whose name has been on his radar for years. I would love to fight Sean Strickland in front of the White House. For one, I think that's going to be a monumental occasion. When are you ever going to be able to fight in front of the White House ever again? But I've been trying to fight Sean for the longest of times, just because I like that fight. Whittaker and Strickland are both former champions navigating a crowded middleweight picture. Ciryl Adesanya's hiatus and Dricus du Plessis' reign at the top have left the division in an interesting place, and for Whittaker, a matchup with Strickland feels like the right test at the right time. We've been in the same circles for a while. He's still ranked 3, which puts me right back into a conversation that I want to be a part of, and I think it'll be a fun fight. I think it'll be a good fight to watch. I'd love to be on that. Whittaker envisions the bout as a technical and fan-friendly striking affair, a clash between two of the division's most skilled and mentally tough competitors. Strickland's pressure-heavy boxing style against Whittaker's sharp movement and kickboxing arsenal could make for one of the most entertaining fights on the historic card. The symbolism of competing on such a landmark stage only adds to the motivation for the Australian. While the White House event has drawn curiosity and excitement throughout the MMA world, Whittaker's plans mean he's unlikely to compete on the upcoming UFC card in his home country. The organization is set to return to Australia in February, but the former middleweight champ revealed that family comes first this time around. I want to, my head wants to, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm having a baby due in a few weeks, and I want to be there for that period. I want to be there for my kids during Christmas. I don't want to be in camp during this period. I've missed a lot of them. That decision underscores Whittaker's maturity and balance at this stage of his career. After years of headlining events and taking on the toughest names in the division, he's in no rush to return unless the right opportunity presents itself. And for him, that opportunity looks like a summer showdown with Strickland on one of the sport's biggest and most unprecedented stages. If Whittaker gets his wish, it would be more than just another fight. It would be a meeting of elite strikers, a potential title eliminator, and a chance for the Reaper to reaffirm his place among the middleweight elite while taking part in one of the most historic moments in UFC history.
Umar isn't surprised by Merab's continued trash talk. In fact, he says it's proof that the Machine knows how close their first fight really was. The two met for the UFC Bantamweight Championship back in January, where Dvalishvili earned a unanimous decision victory to retain his title and hand Nurmagomedov his first loss of his professional career. But even months later, the Dagestani contender says the champion's comments revealed more about his insecurity than confidence. Speaking to reporters during the UFC 321 Media Day in Abu Dhabi, Nurmagomedov dismissed Dvalishvili's repeated boasts and said everyone watching could see how tight their January clash was. If you ask him, I think he will say he has to fight 10 times until he wins 10, Nurmagomedov said. What I can say? It's just his mind, his opinion, and he can say whatever he wants, but reality is going to be different. Because he knows, everybody knows why he's talking like this, because he knows what's going to happen in the fight next. He knows it was very close, and it's funny for everyone, not just for me. Everybody can see. Nurmagomedov's calm but confident tone suggests he hasn't forgotten that fight, or the lessons from it. The loss halted his unbeaten run, but also gave him a taste of championship-level intensity. Now, rather than dwell on the past, he's focused on the next step. His upcoming bout against Mario Bautista at UFC 321. The matchup, which takes place this Saturday in Abu Dhabi, has generated considerable attention given the implications it could have on the bantamweight title picture. While many view the fight as a possible title eliminator, Nurmagomedov remains realistic about the unpredictable nature of UFC matchmaking. You know, in UFC, nothing can guarantee you something. It always depends on something else. It's going to depend on time, it depends on injured or not, and I will not wait. After that fight, I want to fight again in January or February. Doesn't matter if it's going to be for a title or it's going to be some regular fight. I just want to be busy. For the younger cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, activity and consistency have always been part of the Dagestani mindset, staying ready, staying hungry, and constantly improving regardless of ranking or opponent. That focus has defined his rise through the bantamweight ranks, and it's something he plans to continue as he rebuilds momentum after his first professional setback. The storyline between Nurmagomedov and Dvalishvili remains one of the most intriguing in the division. Their first encounter was a tactical, high-paced war that left fans debating how close the scorecards truly were. With Nurmagomedov determined to keep climbing and Dvalishvili looking to hold on to his hard-earned throne, a rematch feels inevitable, and if Nurmagomedov gets back in the win column this weekend, that rematch may not be far off. For now, all eyes turn to Abu Dhabi, where Nurmagomedov returns to action with renewed determination. A strong performance against Bautista could reaffirm his place as one of the top bantamweights in the world, and perhaps serve as the first step towards avenging the lone loss on his record.
Daniel Cormier might have thought he was having a quiet, off-the-record chat, but in 2025, there are no private moments in the UFC, especially when you're talking to Tom Aspinall, a man who documents nearly everything on camera. What was meant to be a brief, candid exchange between a former heavyweight king and the current champion turned into a viral moment overnight, with fans dissecting every word of what Cormier said about the state of the division. In the leaked clip, Cormier's tone was relaxed, almost conspiratorial, as he leaned in to talk to Aspinall after their scheduled pre-fight interview for UFC 321. The moment the footage dropped on Aspinall's YouTube vlog, the internet erupted. Without realizing he was still being recorded, Cormier offered an unfiltered assessment of today's heavyweight landscape, and he didn't hold back. These matchups in this division, do you know what type of effing run you can go on? It would be crazy, Cormier said quietly, clearly impressed by the champion's current position. He went on to mention Jailton Almeida and Alexander Volkov, two fighters often discussed as potential contenders, but his comments about their level raised eyebrows. Jailton can't fight. Even if Volkov wins, you beat him in the first round, he said before laughing how easy certain matchups could be for Aspinall. It could get effing crazy. You're on the verge of some crazy shit, man. Things like that don't come around often. It's like when I got to fight Volkan. I defended the belt against Volkan Ozdemir one time, man. Did I win the lottery, son? For fans, it wasn't just what he said, it was how casually he said it. The tone, the phrasing, even the hint of amusement suggested that Cormier viewed the current heavyweight division as relatively shallow, or at least one that Aspinall could dominate with ease. Coming from a man who once ruled the division himself and now sits cage-side as a commentator, it didn't take long for the quotes to ignite controversy. Once the clip circulated on social media, fans flooded the comments with a mix of shock, amusement, and criticism. DC out here sending mad strays, one fan wrote, while another joked, loudest whisper ever, bro might as well have just said it on the broadcast. Others were less forgiving. This is a bad look for @DCMMA, almost looks preferential, which you never want to see commentators have, one user said, hinting at concerns that Cormier's remarks could undermine his neutrality on commentary. Some fans, however, saw humor in the situation, arguing that Cormier was just being real, a fighter talking to another fighter giving an honest veteran's perspective. That's DC, man. He's not being unprofessional, he's just telling the truth. The division is wide open right now. And in some ways, that's what makes the moment so fascinating. Behind the slip-up lies a broader truth. The heavyweight division is in transition. With John Jones retired and Francis Ngannou long gone, there's a vacuum at the top that Tom Aspinall seems perfectly built to fill. Cormier's comments, while blunt, echo what many observers have quietly felt, that Aspinall's combination of speed, precision, and composure might make him untouchable for a while. Still, perception matters. For someone in Cormier's position, a respected Hall of Famer, analyst, and commentator, even casual remarks can carry enormous weight. Whether it was meant as friendly advice or an offhand remark, it now sits out there as a glimpse into how one of the sport's most respected minds views the current landscape. As for Cormier, he hasn't publicly addressed the leak yet. His social media has stayed silent, though sources inside the UFC suggest he wasn't happy about the footage being published. Aspinall, meanwhile, seemed unfazed, even amused by how the moment blew up online. Cormier was just keeping it real, he reportedly told a teammate backstage, adding that he didn't see the comment as disrespectful, just part of the unfiltered, unpredictable energy that makes Fight Week what it is.
The UFC lightweight division is buzzing with speculation, and Paddy Pimblett is right in the center of it. The Liverpool native, one of the sport's most polarizing and talked-about figures, has been training relentlessly. But who he'll face next remains a tightly guarded mystery. Even veteran analyst and former title contender Ciryl Sonnen, who usually has a read on every move inside the promotion, admits that this time he's just as puzzled as everyone else. Pimblett has been putting in serious work at Next Generation MMA in Liverpool, sharpening his tools and keeping an unusually low profile. According to Sonnen, that's no coincidence. Shamrock, a teammate of Paddy the Baddy's, is the closest to giving us actual info. I see him every day. He's in preparation. He's in training. Something's up, but nobody really knows what it is, Sonnen said on his YouTube channel. He's not training this hard for nothing. There's a reason for it. Something big is coming. The intrigue deepens because Ilia Topuria, the reigning featherweight champion and one of the UFC's fastest rising stars, has reportedly taken a step back from public life due to personal matters. That unexpected pause has sent shockwaves through matchmaking discussions, as Topuria had been heavily linked to several cross-division opportunities, including a potential showdown with Pimblett. With him temporarily out of the picture, a vacuum has formed, and the race to fill it has everyone guessing. Sonnen, known for blending inside information with razor-sharp speculation, believes that the UFC might pivot in a surprising direction. So if Paddy the Baddy is not fighting Ilia, if Justin is not fighting at all, my bigger question would be, who is Paddy fighting? And I think that Charles Oliveira would be the leading candidate. That prediction has sparked immediate debate. A matchup between Pimblett and former champion Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira would be massive, both stylistically and commercially. Oliveira, fresh off a statement submission win over Mateusz Gamrot in Rio, remains one of the most dangerous grapplers in the division. Pimblett, meanwhile, has built his name on wild finishes, infectious charisma, and a knack for capturing fan attention. Their clash would pit youthful energy against championship experience, a fight that could easily headline a pay-per-view event in the new Paramount Plus era of UFC broadcasting. From a rankings perspective, it would also shake up the division's hierarchy. With Topuria inactive and Justin Gaethje sidelined, the winner of a Pimblett-Oliveira fight could emerge as a top contender or even line up for a title eliminator. Behind the scenes, sources close to the UFC have hinted that discussions are ongoing, focusing on timing, venue, and the marketing strategy for Pimblett's next big appearance. Still, not everyone is convinced Oliveira will be the one standing across from the baddie. According to Shamrock, who trains with Pimblett daily, the situation may be more straightforward than Sonnen suggests. Despite Topuria's recent absence, Rock insists that the UFC is still working toward booking Pimblett versus Topuria, a fight that would merge two of the sport's most fiery personalities and create international appeal. It would also mark Pimblett's first major test against a top-tier opponent, answering lingering questions about how his skill set translates against elite competition. For now, though, nothing is confirmed. All that's certain is that Paddy Pimblett is training like a man with something big on the horizon. Whether it's Oliveira or Topuria, his next opponent will determine not just his trajectory, but perhaps the future direction of the UFC's ever-evolving lightweight division. Ciryl Gane has made it clear that there won't be any room for pre-fight friendliness when he steps into the octagon with Tom Aspinall at UFC 321. The French heavyweight, calm and composed by nature, is heading into this title fight with a sharper edge than usual, and his message to the reigning champion is simple: don't touch him before the fight starts. The long-awaited clash between Gane and Aspinall feels like a meeting of two modern heavyweights at the peak of their craft, and though the build-up hasn't been particularly hostile, there's a simmering tension beneath the surface that's beginning to show. Aspinall's rise to the undisputed heavyweight throne was swift and dominant. Following Jon Jones's surprise retirement, the British standout inherited the official crown, marking his position as the new face of the division. Gane, on the other hand, has been here before. He's seen the mountaintop twice and stumbled both times, losing to Francis Ngannou and Jones in his two previous title opportunities. That history fuels his intensity heading into this fight, and it's clear he isn't interested in any symbolic gestures of respect or gamesmanship before the bell rings. The pre-fight moment that Gane is referring to has become something of a signature for Tom Aspinall. Just before the referee gives the final instructions, Aspinall often places his hands on his opponent's shoulders, a quiet act that seems to blend sportsmanship with psychological control, almost as if he's setting the tone physically before the action begins. But Gane, who places enormous importance on distance, timing, and composure, sees it differently. In his recent interview with Full Send MMA, Gane didn't mince words when the subject came up. "It's a stupid thing," he said. "If he wants to have his range, you need to put your hand on the wall. Why do you need to put your hand on my shoulder? I don't think he does it smartly. He's not smart. If you want to learn about my range, I have to put my hand out, and you'll have my range. Everyone's like, he has high IQ, he's so smart, but he's so stupid. That's funny though." His tone made it clear. If Aspinall tries that familiar touch before the first punch is thrown, he won't take it lightly. It's not just about physical space, it's about respect and psychological boundaries. Gane knows that these small gestures can shift the emotional balance of a fight before it even begins. And for someone like him, who thrives on poise and rhythm, giving up that control, even momentarily, isn't an option. While Aspinall has yet to respond publicly, his demeanor suggests he won't be rattled. The English champion's calm confidence has been one of his trademarks, and he rarely bites at pre-fight talk. But Gane's irritation adds an intriguing layer to this matchup. Two of the most technically gifted heavyweights alive, both known for their movement, timing, and fight IQ, now circling each other with a little added bite. Beyond the mind games, the stakes couldn't be higher. Gane has heard every criticism there is about his grappling and his ability to finish fights when things get tough. Since his loss to Jon Jones, he's doubled down on wrestling and defensive groundwork, determined to erase the idea that he's a one-dimensional striker. But Aspinall represents a different kind of problem. He's fast, explosive, and fights with a fluidity that mirrors Gane's own style. This won't be a contest of brute force, but one of precision, control, and timing. For Gane, it's about redemption, proving that his talent isn't just beautiful to watch, but capable of conquering the biggest tests under pressure. For Aspinall, it's about validation, showing that his championship status isn't circumstantial and that he can defend the belt against the division's elite. Both men carry themselves with quiet confidence, but the subtle hostility now emerging between them only amplifies the drama. When fight night arrives, there won't be any smiles or friendly gestures, no shoulder taps, no mutual respect on display until the final horn. Just two world-class heavyweights standing inches apart, each trying to impose his rhythm, each aware that one mistake could change everything. Gane's warning might seem small in isolation, but it captures exactly where his head is at. This is business, this is personal, and this time, he's not letting anything slip out of his control.
Rainier de Ridder has spoken publicly for the first time since suffering the first loss of his UFC career, offering an honest and emotional reflection on what went wrong in his main event defeat at UFC Vancouver. De Ridder, who entered the promotion with high expectations and quickly went 4-0 in less than a year, had been building momentum toward a middleweight title shot. The Dutch grappling specialist was seen as one of the division's most promising new contenders, combining elite submission skills with an analytical, disciplined approach to fighting. Heading into the event on October 18th, his focus was clear: stay active, stay sharp, and stay ready for a potential title opportunity against Khamzat Chimaev. But things didn't go as planned. DeRidder was outworked and outlasted by Brendan Allen in a fight that showcased Allen's relentless pace and striking improvements. After 4 difficult rounds, DeRidder's corner made the decision to stop the fight before the start of the 5th round, prioritizing his long-term health over a possible comeback. While the corner stoppage was praised by some, others, including certain fighters and fans online, questioned whether DeRidder had quit. The criticism intensified in the days following the event as the normally composed Dutchman chose to remain silent. That changed on October 22nd, when he finally broke his silence with a heartfelt message on social media, acknowledging both his disappointment and his responsibility for what happened. "I was not the best fighter in the cage Saturday, and it stings. If we have shared the mats, you know I tend to work more and harder than anybody else. But over the last 2 camps, I might have exaggerated a little bit. I was so focused on getting that title and being ready once the chance came that I failed to listen to my body, and last Saturday that showed." DeRidder's statement suggests that the defeat wasn't just physical, it was also the result of mental burnout. Having fought 4 times in just under 12 months, his schedule was grueling for a fighter of his size, particularly given his habit of pushing himself to extremes during training. Known for his intensity and his no-shortcuts mentality, DeRidder admitted that he may have pushed past the limits of what his body could sustain. He continued, "I shall not stray the course, but Daddy is taking some time off, kids. I was not myself, but I will be again. If you know me, you know what I'm coming for. Be nice out there, and see you soon." The post struck a chord with many fans and fellow fighters who praised DeRidder for his honesty and self-awareness. It's not often that high-level athletes publicly admit to overtraining or the mental toll that comes with the pressure to stay ready for title opportunities. But for DeRidder, that recognition seems to be part of his recovery process. Despite the loss, his corner has stood firmly by their decision to stop the fight. They argued that DeRidder had absorbed enough punishment and that there was no sense in risking further damage in a fight that was already out of reach. That approach reflects the strong culture of respect and safety that defines DeRidder's team, a mindset that may extend his career longevity despite the setback. The defeat, while painful, doesn't erase the impressive accomplishments of DeRidder's UFC run so far. Before joining the promotion, he had already been a dominant force in one championship, holding titles in 2 weight classes. His transition to the UFC had gone almost perfectly, until now. As he steps back to rest and recalibrate, DeRidder's message is clear. This is not the end of the story. He's determined to return stronger, smarter, and more balanced, both physically and mentally. And if his history is any indication, the Dutch Knight will use this loss not as a setback, but as fuel for the next chapter of his rise toward UFC gold.